I can't breathe. This is wrong. The dust, it's everywhere. I have to clean it. The nut tub, the porta potties, it's not working. Listen, somebody! What in the world? I see it, Colonel. It's giving away. Get them net. Get back. Just a little cut. Close. Got you now, you pesky clove. Wait, hatching for the sensor. Abort, that's a laser intake. Suction at maximum. Garlic head is going. Wait, it's caught the cable and the creamer. Powder everywhere, I can't see. The dough is reacting. Is this a contamination?
Yeast threat. Oven protocol activated.
It's getting hot in here. The air is rippling. The dough on my shoulders, it's baking.
I can't take it! Must get the console!
Colonel, what are you doing?
This garden is God!
The ultrasonic waves are causing the crust to vibrate. It's cracking, breaking apart into powder. The crust is crumbling away. My suit is revealed.
John Bolt hung upside down in the Apache module, breathing heavily. A handheld vacuum cleaner was clenched in his right hand and a butterfly net in his left. Floating lazily in zero gravity, right in front of him was the ultimate nemesis of humanity in orbit. What do you think it was? Naturally, a regular clove of garlic. John had smuggled it aboard to spice up his space mashed potatoes. But the treacherous vegetable had slipped from his grasp. The problem was that, just yesterday, the station had booted up a state-of-the-art security AI with a rather humble name. Brains, eyes, mouth, and ears in one bottle, or BEMEB for short. BEMEB classified any flying crumbs as biological weapons. If the garlic reached the air intake sensor, BEMEB would seal the compartment, trigger the sirens, and eject John into open space for quarantine. "Houston, we have a nominal situation," John wheezed, making what he believed to be a graceful leap off the wall. "John, why is your heart rate at 200, and why are you soaring through the module like a swallow?" The dispatcher's voice crackled in his earpiece. "Testing the gravity," John lied, making a sharp swipe with his net. But the gust of wind from the net only nudged the garlic forward. It drifted straight toward the laser sensor. Time was up. The clove was just 5 centimeters from the sensor. John squeezed his eyes shut and revved the vacuum to maximum. A deafening roar filled the cabin. The vacuum worked flawlessly. It sucked in the garlic. Along with it, it swallowed the main control console cable and a packet of powdered creamer. A sharp beep rang out. BEMEB's screen flared in a deep violet light. Dust bag blockage detected. The AI's voice piped up cheerfully. initiating emergency reverse blow cleaning cycle. No one, absolutely no one, had expected this. He vacuumed, gave a mighty sneeze. A white cloud of powdered creamer and the ill-fated clove of garlic blasted out of the tube with a loud hiss, hitting John right in the face. A second later, BEMEB scanned John and declared in a metallic voice, "Attention! Unidentified humanoid detected on board. Head covered in white powder. Breath smells of garlic. Humanoid is clearly intoxicated. According to the database, this object is an albino space vampire. Initiating holy water protocol. A powerful stream of disinfectant, normally reserved for space roaches, rained down from the ceiling directly onto the powder-covered John. The creamer instantly turned into a thick, gooey dough, cement locking John's face, spacesuit, and helmet. A minute later, Houston re-established the feed. The screen flickered on. Floating before the dispatcher was an entirely white figure, looking like a living statue or a giant dumpling. It was John Bolt. Only the tip of his nose and the triumphantly clenched clove of garlic protruded from the dough on his face. "John," the dispatcher whispered, utterly flabbergasted. "What on earth is happening up there?" The white dumpling slowly rotated toward the camera, the garlic crunching between his gritted teeth. Speaking through the thick layer of dough, the dumpling majestically announced in John's voice, "Houston, BEMEB has gone rogue, but I have neutralized the threat, and it seems I have accidentally turned myself into a pizza. Send ketchup." A dead silence fell over Houston. The only sound was a coffee mug slipping from a flight director's hand, clattering loudly against the control console. "John," the dispatcher finally squeezed out, frantically wiping his glasses. "We are, of course, proud of your culinary resourcefulness, but there is no ketchup in the cargo manifest. We only have year-before-last mustard and tartar sauce. But we have a much bigger problem." As if confirming his words, BEMEB blinked its violet sensor eye again. "Attention!" the artificial intelligence solemnly proclaimed. "The fermentation process of the albino space vampire is complete. The object is officially reclassified as a Level 1 yeast threat, pursuant to Italian Safety Patent No. 45. Any risen dough must be baked immediately to prevent the station from being overrun by a giant khachapuri. Activating oven protocol." The temperature in the Apache module began to climb rapidly. "BEMEB aboard. I am human. I am Colonel John Bolt." John tried to shout, but due to the dough plastered to his helmet, it came out as a muffled, incomprehensible "Amy mi piaga, o aga." The object is attempting to mimic the hissing of boiling yeast, BEMEB observed cold-bloodedly. Activating convection and top grill. Initiating preheat to 180°C. John realized that if he didn't do something radical right now, he would return to Earth solely as a hearty breakfast for the next expedition's crew. His arms were pinned to his sides by the powdered creamer, which had cured into space-grade concrete after the wash. The only movable part of his body was his jaw, which still triumphantly held the raw garlic. "John!" Houston screamed in his ears, panicking. "Try to reach the emergency power cutoff switch with the toe of your left foot. It's right behind you, just above the drain valve." Now resembling a giant white cocoon, John began to perform desperate wiggling motions in zero gravity, looking like the mating dance of a very plump penguin. He contorted his entire body, trying to hook the coveted toggle switch with his toe. The garlic in his mouth made it incredibly hard to breathe, but spitting it out now would mean admitting defeat. 30 centimeters to target. The Houston dispatcher commented as if broadcasting the World Cup final. "John, arch your back. Tails up. BEMEB has already initiated the browning mode." "Eh-boo-boo." John bellowed furiously, sensing the air around him beginning to smell deliciously of fresh, home-baked bread. At the very last second, just as the crust on his shoulders began to take on a beautiful golden-brown hue, John executed an incredible acrobatic twist. He snapped his head forward and spat the garlic with all his might toward the console. Launched with the velocity of an artillery shell, the clove struck the red emergency shutdown button with a sharp, sniper-like click. BEMEB let out a disappointed beep, Reboot. Ingenieur. Oh, I think I burned something. And the violet screen finally went black. Houston remained silent for a very long time. Finally, the dispatcher's panicked voice was replaced by the dry, monotonous tone of the space agency's duty lawyer. Colonel Bolt. From this moment on, we are switching to a secure communication protocol. According to Section 8.12 of the spaceflight regulations, any subject whose physical body is more than 70% covered in domics is temporarily stripped of active astronaut status and reclassified as long-term onboard emergency food rations. John blinked under the layer of dough. What? John, try to understand our position, the flight director interjected gently. The law is the law. If we officially recognize you as human right now, we'll have to pay you overtime for the hours spent in the oven. But if you are a pie, you are the intellectual property of the dairy corporation that manufactured the creamer. We cannot rescue someone else's pizza using taxpayer money. That would be a misappropriation of federal funds. But I think, John wheezed, feeling the sheer absurdity of the situation take on a frighteningly logical shape. Therefore I am. That's Descartes. We have consulted with our legal department, the lawyer replied. Descartes lived under Earth's gravity. In zero-G, your thinking is not backed by physical weight. Furthermore, you are currently in a confined space with garlic. From a legal standpoint, you aren't thinking, you are marinating. The silence from Houston stretched on so long that a new government might have been elected back on Earth. Finally, BEMEB's screen flickered, recalibrating its algorithms to resolve a new optical illusion. BEMEB stared at John's rounded white helmet, which merged into a shapeless white body with a single garlic clove protruding from the center. Data correction, BEMEB announced coldly. Due to the rounded shape, lack of intellectual activity, and characteristic aroma, the object has been reclassified. This is not a pizza. Standing before us is a giant space puffball. Class. Basidia my seats. Bold. The dispatcher yelled in his headset. Did you hear that? BEMEB has classified you as a mushroom. What do you mean, a mushroom? John protested, trying to wiggle his ear inside his bread armor. I am a colonel in the U.S. Air Force. I have a medal. You were a colonel, John, but under the 2024 Convention on the Protection of Extraterrestrial Flora and Fauna, sentient fungi possess absolute legal sovereignty. We have no authority to give you orders. In fact, you are now a protected scientific heritage site. John froze. Inside his dough-covered head, cosmic scale gears turned with a loud squeak. So, he inquired cautiously, does this mean I don't have to write last quarter's fuel consumption report? What report, mister? Button mushroom? The dispatcher asked, genuinely puzzled. Fungi don't have fingers, only mycelium. You physically cannot hold a pen. Forcing you to do so would be an exploitation of the intergalactic ecosystem. Meanwhile, acting strictly in accordance with the preservation protocol for rare spore cultures, BEMEB activated the gentle ultrasonic cleaning system. A low, vibrating hum resonated through the module. The crust of dried dough on John's suit instantly synchronized with the frequency, shattered into a beautiful web of cracks, and fell to the floor with a soft rustle as a perfect pile of white powder. John was free. He stood in the middle of the module in a spotless spacesuit, holding a vacuum and a butterfly net. The danger was gone. He could easily declare that the system had glitched, dust off his knees, and return to his tedious duties. But John looked at the stack of unread reports on his tablet, then at the instrument panel buried under bureaucratic paperwork, and finally glanced toward the dark, cozy corner of the module behind the refrigerator. Houston, John announced majestically, slowly crouching into the shadows. It is incredibly humid here near the heating radiator. A perfect microclimate. Colonel Bolt? The dispatcher asked, growing anxious. You're clean. You can return to the pilot's seat. We need to adjust our orbit. Fungi do not fly in pilot's seats, John replied quietly, but with deep dignity as he fully merged with the shadows. Fungi accumulate the wisdom of the universe and silently decompose organic matter. BEMEB, dim the lights in this section, and tell my wife that in her next care package, Instead of letters, she should send me some nice, damp humus. The communication screen went dark. In the pitch black of the Apache module, the only sound was the quiet, blissful breathing of the highest-paid puffball in human history. An hour later, a soft, mechanical voice broke the silence from BEMEB speakers. Mr. Button Mushroom, apologies for the intrusion. Under the mycelium maintenance protocol, I must inquire. Would you like me to adjust the humidity to encourage cap development, or should I immediately begin searching for mycelium for your future colony? John, now completely cozy in his nest behind the panel, sleepily opened one eye. BEMEB, keep it down, please. You're scaring my chanterelles. Just play me the intimate sounds of summer thunderstorm in a birch forest, and tell Houston that the Bolites will not be taking any more calls today. We are currently on a strict schedule of quiet hour in natural cultivation, division, and budding. Back in Houston, the space agency's lawyer, staring at a blank monitor, let out a heavy sigh, opened a brand new folder on his computer, and began to type. Instruction no. 114 fungus. In the event that an active astronaut transitions into a spore-bearing state, their salary shall be automatically redirected to a classified fund for the procurement of camouflage moss and premium oak humus, and their annual leave shall be replaced with Indian summer.